Manchester United see Crystal Palace striker Mateta as the prime fit for Ruben Amorim's system. United are close to signing Argentinian wonderkid Juan Giménez and are linked with another highly rated young defender. United are lining up a double deal for Benjamin Šeško and James Trafford and are linked with a Giovanni Quenda alternative. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. Firstly, give us your thoughts on the match and the result last night. It's just standard United, isn't it? I actually thought we looked all right for the first kind of hour. For an away performance in Europe, controlled the game a little bit more, had some chances as well, which we'll talk about in a second. God, for anyone that could with half a finishing brain in the team right now would make them look like, would make them look like prime Rooney if they could finish even half of the chances that we're kind of creating at the moment. And then got the decision. And then once the decision went against us with that kind of penalty, heads drop. And then the game completely swings in the opposite direction where we almost lose control and nearly lose the game. So going from a game that we should have been winning, or were winning, should have been winning more comfortably, to get in a bit of adversity and then heads drop in and then we're hanging on at the end. And then I do think the fact that we've got a very threadbare, thin squad, players are just looking absolutely dead on their feet, and it's worrying because we've got obviously Arsenal at the weekend, then we play again next week. It's not going to get better for us. And obviously Amorim's refusing to put some young players on the bench and on the pitch as well. So, these players are literally gonna have to suffer until the end of the season because I can't see any end in sight. The only hope is what we're relying on, like maybe Mason Mount coming back, but how he's meant to have been coming back for a while as well, and players like that. But it's just it is what it is. It's just the normal for us. Can't finish chances. It's been a legacy problem for United for not just this season, but going back a couple of seasons as well. Just not being able to finish chances, and it's really frustrating. Let's go through what Amorim had to say. So he said, we need to be more killer. It's clear we have chances. Sometimes you don't see it in the XG because we can't shoot. The situations are there. We have great opportunities, transition, but sometimes something is missing. And I think it was all summarised, wasn't it, by the Dalot situation, like how he does not square that ball across the penalty area to Højlund there to at least have a chance at scoring a goal. Whether he would finish it or not, we don't know with his current form, but, it's about as good as opportunity as he would have had for a number of games to at least get a shot off on target. And, it's those sort of decision makings in the final third that are just costing us. It's not just Dalot. There's loads of players. Garnacho's guilty of it as well, shooting when there's a pass on. And it's just, it is what it is. It's one of our biggest, if not the biggest, problem on the pitch for United at the moment. Forget everything else going off of it. There's plenty of problems, but not finishing chances is one of the reasons why we are where we are. On that chance itself, Ruben Amorim said, I guess Dalot is not sure that Rasmus has the advantage and he thinks he has time to stall. They want to score and win, and sometimes they don't make the best decision. Dalot's decision wasn't the best, but it's important we move on. So Amorim actually kind of acknowledging the fact that, his decision-making there was poor, but that's been the same problem all season. Our decision-making in the final third is poor. We've got greedy players that shoot when they should pass, and, it's not going to get any... I just don't think it's going to get any better for the players. I just don't think they're good enough for this kind of level, and I do think until we get recruitment or recruit better players, it's going to continue this way for the end of the season, because you've got to remember we had Van Nistelrooy at the start of the season and we were still missing chance after chance. Was one of the biggest reasons why Ten Hag lost his job, was because we couldn't score the chances we were created. So it's been going on for a while now at United. But let me know your thoughts on the match below. Now let's move on to some transfer news. So one player that could fix the kind of striker problem is coming out as Mateta. So Manchester United are monitoring Crystal Palace striker Jean-Philippe Mateta and could move for him in the summer. Mateta has emerged as a major target for United. His mobility and willingness to toil as the arrowhead means United scouts believe he would be a prime fit for the 3-4-3 formation. The chance to join United would appeal to Mateta. He believes he's ready to play on one of the big stages if the chance arises. Now, that came from the Sun. So I would say straight away, take it with a pinch of salt. They're not the most credible source, but would be a really interesting option and profile of player. Doesn't fit the mold of being young and up and coming because I believe he's 27. But I think that kind of got a little bit misinterpreted. The kind of the whole thing around getting older players was the fact that they don't want to buy those players for the sort of money that they're asking for. So like 60, 70 million pounds for a 27-year-old, because there's no longevity, there's no sell-on value in that particular player, because after a couple of years, they're going to start devaluing in price. But someone like Mateta, whose contract expires in 2026, so he's in the last, effectively, so Crystal Palace will have a decision to make on him in the summer, because he'll enter the last 12 months of his contract. He's only valued at 20 million euros on transfer market, but I imagine we'd probably need to pay a little bit more than that, but it's not, crazy transfer fee for someone who is probably a little bit older than what United are looking for. Plus Premier League experience as well. Would be he's a handful up front as well. 33 appearances for Palace, 15 goals, 3 assists this season. So, knows it's a decent option. Not one that would necessarily break the bank. I think there's a lot of kind of positives for that as well. But again, it's not come from the most credible source. So we'll need to kind of wait for a bit more credibility around that. But it does tick a few boxes. I mean, big, powerful, Premier League proven, 15 goals for Palace is nothing to be kind of sniffed at this season. The age thing is the kind of downside, but could be available at a decent price with his contract situation, not going to be on crazy high wages as well. There's some benefit of that. It's definitely worth talking about. So let us know in the comments what you think about that deal. Now, another forward that we've been linked with is Adeyemi. So Manchester United are reportedly eyeing Borussia Dortmund's Karim Adeyemi as a potential signing ahead of the summer transfer window, with speculation growing about a possible departure from the German club. Now, that came from Jack Talbot, who's actually a decent source. And that would be another interesting option. I don't know the price. Was he not reportedly meant to have going to Napoli? Napoli made a bid for him in January, I think, when they couldn't get a deal done with us for Garnacho. 23 appearances, 8 goals, 5 assists for Dortmund. Can play as I think he's played more games at right wing, but can play at left wing as well. So he's right-footed. So I would imagine as one of the left kind of 10 position to cut in on his right. I could see him being in that position if United were to sign him with Amorim's system. 23 years old, so fits the mold of being young, up and coming, valued at 35 million euros on transfer market, but Napoli, I think, made a 45 million euro bid for him in January, but the player decided to stay at Dortmund, so you're looking around that sort of fee, I would imagine, in the summer for Adeyemi. Would be an interesting profile to kind of bring in, because we need attackers, we need forwards, we need people that can create, and more importantly, people with good decision-making in the final third as well, because I do think we get sometimes in good opportunities. It's just we've got players that don't make the kind of right decision in the final third. But, would be an interesting profile. Keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think below. Now, one striker that we've already got at the club is Ethan Wheatley, who signed a new contract with United until 2028 with the option for a further year. He's a little bit younger than I thought. I always thought Ethan Wheatley was a little bit older, but he's he's only 19. He's on loan currently at Walsall. Felt like in League Two. We'll wait and see how his loan turns out, and then see what happens with him in the summer, because this could be one where actually, yes, they do see a future with him at United, and they want to kind of maybe give him another loan for another season, or start introducing him into the first team, depending on how his loan goes, or potentially one that they want to sell on in the summer to make a bit of profit with PSR rules and stuff. So that could be one of the reasons why they've given him an extent or a new contract. But yeah, one to keep an eye on. Let me know what you think in the comments, though, on Ethan Wheatley. Now, but there was an update or a video I did the other day from Samuel Lucas when he was saying about PSR rules and how much we would need to sell players for to not make a PSR loss. Antony wasn't on the list, but Rich Fay's come out confirming that £32.52 million we would need to sell Antony for in the summer to avoid a loss with his current form. That might be plausible. I'd be more optimistic we could get, a bit more money for Antony in the summer if we do want to make his deal. Like, obviously we do want to sell him. I think that's probably plausible, depending on obviously how he continues. If he continues the current form he is, we'll definitely get that in the summer. But I just wanted to bring you that because he wasn't mentioned in the video. I did say I thought it was around 30 million, so I'm not too far off with that. Now, player that bought you yesterday, very young, exciting defender that we've been kind of linked with. Again, another report coming from South America. I don't know the credibility. It's been posted by more credible sources, though, as well, saying that Juan Giménez is close to becoming a Manchester United player. The idea is he stays at Rosario Central until the end of the year and then goes to England. Very talented, very highly regarded. It does seem like Ineos are starting to kind of maybe look at these sort of younger profile of players and bring them in rather than going for the kind of more experienced sort of players as well. So he's definitely a player of interest. We've scouted him for a while. And so we'll keep an eye on it for you. Again, I'd want to see a bit more credibility, but this is where the Diego Leon story started from. These kind of South American local journalists almost kind of linking the news, and then it got picked up a little bit more by the mainstream and stuff as well. But would definitely be, he looks a very talented young player to bring through. So that's an exciting one to keep an eye on for you. Now, he's not the only defender, though, that we've been linked with. So Manchester United went to Istanbul to watch Yusuf, I think it's pronounced Akçiçek. I'm just going to call him Yusuf from now on, okay? Who's 19-year-olds in the Fenerbahçe versus Rangers game. And then Ekrim Connor said that Manchester United have a growing interest in the potential transfer of talented young Fenerbahçe defender Yusuf, who they have followed in recent times. So again, he's another interesting profile. 19, again, very highly regarded, very highly rated, thought to have a really bright future, left-footed as well. Obviously we've just got Aiden Heaven in though, but we've lost Lisandro Martinez, so there could be one of the reasons why we're looking at that side would be an interesting option. If obviously we're losing Evans, we're losing Lindelof along with Martinez's injury, and then we don't know what's going to happen with, Maguire, for example, this summer. So we do need to get some defenders in, I think. He's only valued at £150,000 on transfer market, just broke through to the first team, made 15 appearances so far this season. Is really highly regarded, not a player I've watched loads of, so I don't want to kind of go too deep into it, but doing the research and reading some scout reports and stuff is where he is kind of really, really highly thought of. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you know a little bit more about the player, because it'd be interesting to see what you think about it. Now, there was a story yesterday regarding Kobbie Mainoo and his contract situation, or recently anyway, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but in the last few days regarding his situation. Now, Court Offside, it said that Kobbie Mainoo would only entertain a move to Chelsea if they offer him a higher salary than Cole Palmer, according to reports. Now, if you remember, the story was that he was apparently asking for £180,000. And I just want to say, Kobbie Mainoo himself is not doing these negotiations. He pays an agency to do that. I don't know why these stories are coming out, though, because his agency, in my opinion, are doing a very bad job at not kind of squashing these rumours, because it is painting Kobbie Mainoo to be seen as a bit of a mercenary, and I don't think that's fair, because it's not him doing the negotiations. Like, he's not sitting at the table demanding wages. It'll be his agent that's doing all of these kind of talking and stuff, so it's not painting him in a very good picture at the moment. So I do think whoever's leaking these stories, or whoever's not dismissing these stories, is not doing him any favours at all, because it just makes him sound like a bit of a mercenary. Cole Palmer's on around £130,000 a week as well, so it's one of these. I'm going to say take it with a pinch of salt, because I do think that there's a bit of mischief making regarding this situation at the moment, but that's just my opinion. You can share yours down below. Obviously, midfield is an area of that we need to strengthen, I think, in the summer as well. One player heavily linked with in the past, not so much recently, though, but is Hayden Hackney. Now, the Mail did a report yesterday about potential championship players that could be looking for, or could be available to make a step up to go into the Premier League, and they linked us with Hayden Hackney, saying Manchester United and have scouted Middlesbrough midfielder Hayden Hackney. Very good player. I like him, actually. I think he's a very I think he's the sort of profile of midfielder that we would be kind of looking for. Good ball playing, good ball carrier as well. Other people and other sources have linked us with him in the past. I think the Muppeteers has kind of linked us with him as well. Really, really good kind of stats if you kind of compare him to the others. Do you know what I mean? Especially for someone who's 22 years old, defensive midfielder who could play as like an 8, maybe could play a little bit higher as well, but I see him more as like an 8 or a 6. Potentially in the midfield, good progressive passes, progressive carries, take-ons. Like, he is a really, really good player, and he's done well under Michael Carrick there as well, one of the best midfielders at United. In my opinion, I think Michael Carrick was massively underrated by non-United fans, but I think he was rated by United fans for his kind of work as well. So has been linked for a while. Keep an eye on it for you. Would be a very interesting option to kind of bring in, actually, and wouldn't break the bank neither as well. And again, fits the mold: English, young, up and coming, developmental, well scouted by the report as well. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. Now, Manchester United are actively pursuing reinforcements to bolster their squad this summer, and two prominent names on the radar are RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Šeško and Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford. Now, that came from Jack Talbot, who is actually a decent source when it comes to United news. Benjamin Šeško is a player we scouted loads. We've been interested in Šeško for a number of years. Whether we would kind of go in for him in the summer, whether we've got the funds and stuff again to go for Šeško, who knows. And then James Trafford's one that's been linked with us heavily over the last kind of week or so. He was linked like a few months ago as well, but more so recently. So again, two interesting profiles there. I wouldn't be against signing both of those, to be fair. But then at the moment, I'd take what we can get with the squad being so thin and bare, and needing reinforcements all over the place at the moment. But yeah, let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, this was an interesting one. So obviously, one player that we are heavily linked with, Giovanni Quenda, more so than any other player. Like, he's the one that's kind of seemed the most likely deal to be kind of done in the summer, with Ornstein and people like that kind of confirming the deals. Graham Bailey, though, had the following to say: that Ruben Amorim is targeting Giovanni Quenda at £33 million, and Braga's Roger Fernandez, a 19-year-old winger, is a cheaper alternative for the summer transfer window. Amorim is familiar with both from Portugal, favours Quenda, but would welcome Fernandez too. Now, there's an interesting kind of profile of player, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a comparison with them. So Quenda's details are on the left, Fernandez is on the right. You've got Fernandez is 19 though, so he's a couple of years older than Quenda. Remember, Kenda's only 17 years old, and Kenda's had to play in a couple of different positions this season as well, because he was playing at right wing back under Amorim at the start of the season. I think he's now shifted and potentially playing a few more games at left wing since Amorim left as well. But Fernandez looks pretty decent on the kind of the old comparison, especially more so defensively. Again, that could be the team they're playing in, though. Sporting might be one that play a lot more possession, and so you do need to kind of bear in mind they're not exactly playing in exactly the same team, and different situations as well. But does not look bad on the kind of stats on the eye test as well. From what I've seen of the highlights and stuff, actually looks a really decent player. 44 appearances this season, 5 goals, 5 assists, and he can play in multiple positions as well. Predominantly as a right winger, potentially could play as the right wing back as well, but can also play on the left side as well. So a little bit kind of a player that could play in a couple of different positions if need be. These are Kenda's stats this season: 42 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists. Again, bear in mind he is a little bit younger than Fernandez, who's a very similar player as well. That's what I was saying. So he's playing a majority at like right wing back, but has played a lot of games at left wing as well this season. So that might be why the data is a little bit kind of skewed when it comes to them. But would be an interesting shout to kind of bring in. Would be a lot cheaper than Quenda as well, because the talk is, like, there was a story yesterday, 25 million. Some of you in the comments correctly said that seems a little bit low for Giovanni Quenda. I agree with that as well. The fees that's mainly been mentioned is the £33 million mark, which is 40 million euros. Kenda's release clause is 100 million. So whether the Sporting would be willing to sell him for, obviously significantly under his release clause, I think 40 maybe with some add-ons to like 45, 50, I could see maybe a deal being done then. But with Fernandez, a lot cheaper. I think he's valued at 15 million euros on transfer market, so would be a significant, saving in terms of Giovanni Quenda. I do think, though, that Amorim wants Quenda, so I am in a position where let's go for our number one targets to try and set the manager up for success if he wants to go for Quenda, and the deal's possible as long as it's not, the 100 million euro release clause. Then we should be going, I think, for his top target. But Fernandes would be an interesting alternative. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, there's been more cuts at United, so more exits. So head of HR, Annie Hale, commercial director, Florence Lefay, and a business development chief, James Holroyd, all leaving as wholesale changes of executive leadership. Team continues. Colette Roach is the sole survivor. 3 senior executives will leave Manchester United this summer, including the person responsible for delivering the latest round of redundancy. So how ironic is that? Is that the person that was, telling people they're going to lose their job has now also lost their job as well? It just shows that there are, continuously more cutbacks going on from Ineos behind the scenes, in a bid to obviously fix the financial mess that we're in at United. But yeah, it's never ending, is it? It's never ending negativity at the moment around the place. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.